So, in this episode, we are showing teeth. Yes, teeth. So, because we want empaths to show their crooked teeth, if they have crooked teeth. And if they have straight teeth, Nicola has had her teeth straightened when she was a teenager. Then we need to show those teeth too. Very important. So, yes, I have nice teeth. Look at those nice teeth. Yes. I'm an empath and I'm showing my teeth. So, just because a majority of people in any given situation in the world, in a nation, in a community, just because the majority has come to a specific, it could be a telltale fairy tale story with their version of truth in it. It could be their religion with their version of truth in it. It could be a social norm they created, specific wording, specific terminology, specific vocabulary, specific, those proverb things that just are passed on blindly from one generation to another. They can create all kinds of things, including a legal system. That is all based on their projection of their non-empathic way of thinking onto the world. And then they expect the 1%, they expect these few empaths that are in the world, which are about 1%, roughly, I don't know, 100%, but that's just my personal observation. Because I did some field work too, on my own, literally. So, just because the 99% of the population was their uncaring or leaning towards uncaring, oblivious, chill, type of mind state, where they don't give things a second thought, they are self-serving, human-centric, just don't have empathy, really, they don't put themselves into the other living beings' situation in any way. So just because they are projecting their stuff into the common consensus, of laws and rules and fairy tales and so on, doesn't mean that the empaths in the world have to accept that hook, line, and sinker and say, oh, well, if they say so, it must be so. No, it's not so at all, okay? it's only a projection and a wishful thinking and a molding of a society from those people that are already always elbowing themselves into any kind of leverage situation, and who don't have much empathy. Okay, so no, so that does not, what they write for themselves is not a law written in concrete. That does not pertain to empath. And that's why my message goes out there to all empaths. And I'm telling you, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to speak out for yourselves. You have to show teeth. Yes? You have to go, okay? You have to stand up and you have to say, your laws are wrong. Okay? Your projections are self centered, they don't pertain to us. Okay? So speak out and stand up for yourselves. This is very, very, very important. And we are, in many ways. Okay? We sign petitions, we circulate our own petitions, we stand up and we say, hey, look, this law or that law that caters to a corporate agenda, that caters to their profit maximization. They have bribed their way through the politicians, through the government with their lobbyists, and they always want the legal system to cater to them because they're selfish. They don't see the consequences of anything, they don't see the suffering, and they don't care. If they saw the suffering, a lot of people have seen what's going on. They have watched the undercover videos from PETA, in the factory farms. And a lot of people will sit there and they'll think, yeah, that sucks, that's ugly. But then they don't even feel any compassion. They just think, oh, that's gross or whatever. But they don't see the suffering in the pigs or the cows or the horses or any animal who's being tormented in there. So they just walk out of there and they're just mad at whoever made that undercover film, and they just go, oh, he must be a grandstander, whatever. So that's their only way of interpreting the situation, because they don't feel it, because if the amygdala is not fully developed, are not two pieces, amygdalae, so plural, two amygdala, two almond-shaped formations that are working together. It's always a symmetry in the brain. And if they are not fully developed, well, then the person obviously is not capable of understanding where the animal rights activists or any kind of activist for justice is coming from. So they will always interpret it in a way of the way they just, it's a projection, just in a way to how they could possibly understand it and wrap their heads around it out of their own ways of thinking, So they must be grandstanding because because the non-compassionate person would only do this out of a grandstanding purpose. So I hope that makes a lot of sense, what I'm saying. So I'm sure that every empath will understand what I'm talking about, because you've already seen it. You've already come across those people in your lives numerous times. So, and it goes so far that, the ones that are, that's a sliding scale also, from just the oblivious, non-caring person all the way to a psychopath, to a sociopath, who is thinking in terms of profit maximization for a corporation, and they don't care what they're doing. They don't care what horror they are causing to animals and children and the world. So yeah, and those, the ones that are causing a whole lot of suffering, I mean, it can go all the way into extreme atrocities, and extreme holocausts. What's going on in the factory farms is extreme holocaust. Okay, it's hellish. And that's why I am urging every one of you, if you have compassion, if you care, please become a whole food vegan, and never participate in that cycle of suffering ever again. Okay, this is very, very, very important. And you have to stand up for yourselves. You cannot hold the other cheek or let a prisoner out or make some kind of justifications for a criminal person. You cannot be holding the other cheek and rolling out the red carpet for criminals anymore. Okay, you cannot be a so-called enabler anymore to the horrible, horrible sociopaths and psychopaths that are exploiting, that are taking advantage of innocent beings. Okay, you cannot be an enabler anymore for this. Okay, so you have to become very, very sharply observing. You need to become very, very, very aware of what's going on. Also socially, sociologically, when you are interacting with people. Pay attention. Don't let them tell you what the social rules are. Don't let them dictate to you what to wear or how to have your hair cut or your eyebrows. Don't let them dictate to you that we need to be always positive. That's another thing. That's a corporate trap right there. That's what the corporations want you to do. They want you to be complacent. They want you to be completely cool with everything. So that when you speak out against injustice, they'll call you negative. They'll label that you're being negative. You're being a party spoiler. You're just being a querulant, as they call them in Germany. You're being my mother called me that. My mother sees me like that. So my brother too. My brother said, "I want to party." Literally like this. It's like this with a red face. Like, he wants to do that, and I don't have any right to give him some kind of philosophical lecture on this. That's what he wants, and he will do it. Like a temper tantrum, like a 2-year-old. Who wants his life to be a specific way. He wants that and this and this, and then he makes a tantrum, and he just demands it, like the other people don't have a right to tell him that, this or that. And I didn't even dictate anything to him. I just told him my views on it. I told my mother my views many times. And then they think that I have just given them a mandate. I just gave them a legal mandate, and they are protesting against it. I said, well, you do what you want to do. It's not my life. It's your life. I'm just giving philosophical truth. And love is truth. Love is the infinite cosmos. Okay, and that's a universal truth. And that's the most noble, that's the purest power there is. Okay, let's live by that, and breathe and meditate by that, and practice empathy. For those people that, I think there's a chance to go into that direction. At least give it a chance. So I'm not saying that it's a hopeless case for some people, but there's still a chance to meditate on this and let the amygdala grow, okay, and get compassion for other living beings, okay. So let's live by love. Take care.